Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, Earthlings. Hope you're all having a great day, as good as possible. Thank you very much, firstly, Sue from Australia, for sending me the Lady C's book on Princess Diana. I'm really going to enjoy reading that, and it looks like it's my kind of book. Because some books are a lot more difficult for me to read, and I've started reading it, and of course Lady C has very straightforward and nice easy flow. I am still struggling with the Russell Brand book because, you know, his descriptive terms are really complicated, and I'm still having to like reread sentences. Anyway, this is just a general chat about nothing in particular. We've been into Jib today. Obviously, that's where we got the book. Graham has several hospital consultants that he sees. It's an ongoing process, as I'm sure you can all imagine. We had a nice lunch at Morrison's today. And I managed to get through a few emails as well this afternoon. So I'm working my way through them, guys. I will get there eventually. And some people had emailed a bit concerned that they think that for me, they'd read responses to me on X. Oh, sorry. I think I'm quite safe to say the word X. And they were concerned that it's bad for somebody's mental health. Please don't worry. I've been on there now for a few weeks and I'm really enjoying it. And I haven't found any harsh comments. Yes, there are Meghan supporters who fervently come and defend what they think. Yes, some of them come out with the usual, you know, we went through the list of the regular things that they say. And really, because it's rinse and repeat with the ones that are just post insults like, I don't know, I haven't actually been called a racist, not by any of them. Not by any of them. No, it's more grifting. You wouldn't have any money without talking about Meghan. It's always about money, isn't it? Always about money. They're really fixated on that. And I find it very interesting that they feel that they have the right to dictate what people can and can't talk about. And some of them clearly do watch me on YouTube and have done for some time. I can tell by their comments because they're aware of who I am. They reference older videos of mine, but others, they've no idea who I am at all. And so they just come out, just trot out the same line, like copy, cut and paste, copy, cut and paste. But I am interested talking to the ones that have been following on YouTube. I mean, come on, guys, I can't be the worst. Some of them say that I call Meghan names. Do I? I think I have called her a bitch once. I think I said that on my live with Daniel Boland. To just summarise it, I said, he's thick and she's a bitch, in my opinion. That just sort of sums it up. But apart from that, do I say she's ugly? Ever? Far from it. Because she's not. She's lovely looking. I also find it interesting because they're very unsophisticated in how they comment sometimes. And they are very much into talking about people's personal appearance. Not mine, I hasten to add, but other people's personal appearance, or what they categorise. And so I believe a lot of them are very, very young. And hopefully, God willing, they will get to a great age, and they will age. But I don't think they realised how ageist they come across as. Now, I've been thinking about Meghan and Harry today quite a bit, actually, because I'm thinking, well, where are they going to go next? Not with their PR, but their actual lives. Where are they going to go next? And I have no idea. Now, one of the Meghan supporters made an exceptionally valid point, and I completely agree with them. And I did say, I'm going to make a concerted effort to do this in future videos. And this applies to lots of subjects, not just on YouTube, on all platforms. Every person who is a creator, who has any kind of a following, whether it's small or large, they have a responsibility to not whip up a lynch mob or allow people to get carried away. Now, you guys are very measured. in your comments. You know, I don't see terrible things that I do else places on the internet about Meghan or about other people. You're probably one of the least judgmental communities I've known on the internet. Having said that, not everybody comments. Some people watch, and who knows what they take away from a video. Now, one of these Meghan supporters said, well, Fiona, you're an opinion piece, but you they accused me of mind reading Meghan and Harry, which I don't. And when I go into these parallel universe comparisons, I often say we're going to go into Fiona's imagination now. But I've never said this isn't real. And I think they do have a valid point, because I do notice sometimes, especially with YouTubers, people can just take everything that a YouTuber says at absolute face value. Now, a lot of you guys that comment, I know you don't. You have your own thoughts and opinions. You're grown adults and you can make your own mind up. But I have seen in other places on other subjects, nothing to do with Meghan, I have seen YouTubers sort of declare A, B and C. And I've been often astonished to read their comments where their commenters are like, yeah, done deal, that's it, that's a fact. And that's... So every creator, whether they're on Instagram or YouTube or X or wherever they are, we all have to be careful. And I do try to be, but perhaps I don't emphasise it enough that I may be full of shit, which I say a lot on my videos. So that's important, and to keep it into proportion. My interest, she and Harry are members of the British royal family, and we are a monarchy, and a lot of her followers just don't understand that at all. They just don't get that at all. That, honest to God, I'd never heard of her before. And I'm guessing a lot of you had never heard of her before. And also, I got an email from YouTube this morning, the same one Graham got a couple of days ago, about the new terms and conditions and not mentioning other platforms. And I thought, well, I'll just read a few of the other terms and conditions and look through them. And that was very interesting. I never read them normally, never. And basically, they're pretty, the majority of them are pretty much common sense terms and conditions. They're along the lines of, don't form a lynch mob, you know, don't raise arms and let's not get carried away. But I was interested to see that in some of their terms and conditions, now I don't know how far and seriously they're going to take it, when it comes to cancer, and as you all know, we're going through that as a family at the moment, people are not allowed to talk about anything outside of the conventional medical treatment. Now, I find that quite dangerous, because all of the doctors we've been dealing with have been enormously supportive of us, Graham's diet, you know, hand in glove with the conventional treatment. At no point have any of the doctors said, don't you dare take herbs, don't you dare use turmeric. Never. So where's YouTube coming from with that one? I mean, a lot of their T's and C's are common sense, you know, don't raise an army, don't go after somebody, don't encourage people to kill people. That's all very good advice. Very good advice. Well done, YouTube. That's excellent. Talk about stating the bleeding obvious. But sometimes people can get carried away if they watch a particular YouTuber on any subject, and they you know, it can really get their blood boiling to the point that they want to go and do something. I saw the what's he called, Lawrence Fox. I saw that today, and he's been arrested. And I saw the video that he did with the police in his house. Now, I've been in those kind of heated moments, and I feel what Lawrence is going through at the moment. He's got overload stress. And personally, if I was giving him advice, and of course I don't know him, and I'm sure he doesn't need my advice, but I would have said, try not to film the police in that kind of a hostile way. By all means, film them. I was surprised they allowed it, but by all means, film. They are in your house. But I think that him giving an explanation would be better when they're not there. But that's just my opinion, having dealt with police. So he obviously is under pressure at the moment. I don't actually know that much about him, apart from he was married to Billie Piper once upon a time. He's not somebody I watch regularly. I'm aware of him and I've seen him on and off. But when people are going through that kind of stress, it's really difficult to keep things in proportion and not sort of overreact and feed every detail online. Ugh. So, yeah, getting back to Meghan and Harry. Where do they go from now? Because I really cannot see, for one reason or another, them returning to the British royal family. Royal family or not, that's not going to work. That's not going to happen. And I would imagine that Meghan doesn't even want to set foot in the UK, let alone be an active, working member of the royal family. I don't see it working for her in Hollywood. I just don't see, I don't think that this talent agency or any of that, I don't think that's working for her. And even if she were to get a big starring role, it wouldn't make her that interesting. Now, why do we talk about Meghan so much? This is for the benefit of some of the genuine Meghan supporters. And actually, I've got to add, one in particular who I had a big debate with last night on X said at the end, thank you for being honest and thank you for the debate. So they're not all bad. Let's cool the temperature down a little. Well, it seems to me when Princess Diana was alive, the magazines and the TV, they really wanted to talk about Diana a lot. Diana was an industry all in herself. But when they spoke about her, it was always very upbeat. Isn't she beautiful? Isn't she glamorous? Isn't she kind? Now with Meghan, yes, Meghan pulls a crowd in a manner of speaking, but not in a good way. Not in a good way. I see people who make videos where they love Meghan, and that's great. But a lot of people are analysing her behaviour. Analysing, me amongst them. Analysing and looking at her behaviour and her decision-making process, her and Harry. And I have said this many times before, many times, but I will say it again. I think if Harry and Meghan were sitting here now, I'd say, why don't you guys sell up and buy a massive piece of land in the middle of a forest somewhere in Canada or America and build and design your own log cabin or your own dream house, forever house. And I would go further than that. Harry, I'm certain, would just love living with nature in the middle of nowhere. He'd love it. And they could go away and they could film, they could have those forest cameras, where you get deer and various, and bears. You get bears as well, don't you? And, the hummingbirds I saw on their Netflix thing, that was the thing that I really loved the most. The Harry feeding the hummingbirds. I thought they were CGI. I couldn't believe it, how friendly and tame they are. They could do that. It would take a couple of years to build their dream home. They could do a video of it themselves, like us YouTubers do. And Meghan could actually start a drama camp, where students could come out and they have various drama teachers and she could help them. Not that she's any good at acting, but she's been in the industry. She must have some insight into how tough, how difficult it is. And they could go away and do that for 2 or 3 years and film their kids growing up in nature. And they could come back and they could sell that for a lot of money on Netflix and everybody would watch it and everybody would love it. What I don't particularly like is the plasticity of it all, the Hollywood, the fake awards, the fake red carpet, the fake pap shots. It's such a waste of energy and such a waste of life, in my opinion, when we live on this wonderful planet. And they have resources, presumably, they have money. As I said, I cannot see any form of return to the royal family whatsoever. I just cannot see it as an option. I cannot see Hollywood as an option. That's just not going to work, in my opinion. And I emphasise I could be completely wrong and full of shit. But I've often been a believer in you make your own party in life as opposed to trying to get invited to other people's. And I think that would be an excellent thing for them to do, to be in the middle of nowhere, and they would have kids lining up and parents to put their kids in a drama camp. They would just love that. Be right up their alley. Of course, I don't believe Meghan's the type of character she would ever actually enjoy doing that, which is a shame. That is a shame. And I see a conflict between her character and Harry's character. I mean, fundamental, having things in common in order to get through tough times. I just don't see that surviving. Because I think Harry's the kind of person who could live in a mud hut, happy as anything. He wouldn't care. Meghan, no, absolutely not. Would have to be penthouse, and she's into the city. He's into the countryside. He doesn't want. I think he genuinely wants privacy. He wants to hide away. She doesn't. She wants exposure. And it is a shame that they can't have that vision, because I'm not that familiar with the exact history of Hollywood, but wasn't it that it was sort of desert in the middle of nowhere, and the pioneers that were in the silent movies decided to go out there and start filming, and it built and built and built, and it became Tinseltown, didn't it? But there was nothing there before. Correct me if I'm wrong, because as you all know, I don't know nothing about America. So, I mean, people built that up themselves. Other event, there are lots of places where there was nothing there before and it was built up out of nothing. And that would be so impressive if they did something like that, but they're not going to do that. They're just not going to do that. It's going to continue, and some of these followers that she has, they are either paid or they are robots. I haven't actually come across any on X that I believe are robots yet. I believe that some of them are just knocked down paid. They're just paid. And some of them are fanatical, like they've been living in an echo chamber. They accuse us of living in an echo chamber, but they really come across that way. And they come out with the same lines all the time. Like they're not expanding their mind, they're not questioning. And I'm not allowed to talk about Harry and Meghan unless I worship them. I'm sure if I started worshipping them, they'd be all for it, wouldn't they? But I don't, because I look at their lives and I just think, what a waste of space, what a waste of time. And especially in light of you all knowing what we're going through as a family at the moment, time becomes ever more precious and important, doesn't it? So I suppose when they're young, and maybe they're 12, 13, 14 years old, well, but I haven't come across any harsh comments on X. Absolutely none. I've come across people asking questions, and I've come across sort of lame, repetitive insults, which are nothing. They're just nothing. I did a video the other night with Graham where we were talking about algorithms and robots and how they go through on platforms like YouTube and removing certain words and blocking and banning people. And we were talking about the old video that Graham and I did years and years ago about the Travellers. And whoa, go and look that one up in the comments on that. Oh my God, talk about death threats. Unless you... Actually, I did go back. There were over 1,000 comments and there were like 700 or 500. I think YouTube had gone through, the machine had gone through, deleting a load, which is a shame, because I would have liked those death threats to stay for history, for future generations to look up and think, my God, is that really how people thought at the time? Is that really how they reacted? Was that really acceptable to just post death threats? So I'm a great believer in free speech and leaving history without being whitewashed or cleaned up. I believe things should be left as they are. And some people have said block some of these insults on X. No, they can stay there. We all have free speech. How we choose to use that free speech, that's our choice, right? So firstly, we all have the right to it, but it is a privilege as well, in a way. And if someone wastes their breath on saying something that makes their account look stupid because they're not actual names, that's up to them. And then people who are sitting off can read my response, their response, my response, their response, and it builds a picture. It really does. And I'm pretty sure people who sit off and read the comparison think, who the hell is this lunatic? And why is Fiona being patient with them? I'm patient with them because they're on a learning curve. They are on a learning curve, and I'd imagine there'll be some development, shall we put it that way, in the royal family generally between now and Christmas. I would definitely imagine there will be developments of one sort or another. The councillors of state people keep mentioning that. There are various movements going on in the background all the time. But it is astonishing that these kids think that they just don't seem to get that it's a monarchy. It is a monarchy, and when someone is a member of the British royal family, we Brits as subjects and Commonwealth citizens who are members of a voluntary organisation, of which our monarch is the head, we have a right to comment. And just because there's some 12-year-old out there who's fanatical, who maybe has a Meghan Markle poster or was a huge fan of Suits, they cannot just go around the internet saying, "Don't talk about Meghan, you grifter." Sorry, no, that's not going to work. And name calling isn't going to stop people. It's not going to stop people. What it will do, which I think is very unfair to Meghan unless she's paying them in some way, what it will do and what it reaffirms is it makes people intensify their dislike of Meghan. It really does. So these people who comment and name call and say people are Karens or they're fat, they're ugly, they're wrinkly. Can you imagine if Meghan went on telly and said openly, "I don't like anybody over the age of 45, they're fat and ugly"? Do you think Meghan would ever be so stupid as to say something? Not even Meghan would be that stupid. She would alienate half the planet immediately. So, and I mean equally when they attack other members of the royal family, Catherine and William. Catherine and William have a following, they have a fan base, they have people who love them. So Meghan supporters, when you go out and you attack them, then you are instantly making enemies of all of that following. Jeremy Clarkson, ill-advised as he was to make remarks without referencing Game of Thrones, Jeremy Clarkson has an enormous fan base. So when you attack him, all of those fans are going to dislike Meghan, fair, whether it's justified or fair or not, based on your behaviour. Piers Morgan, believe it or not, has a fan base. When they attack him, whoa, millions of his fans are coming at them. One of the reasons the royal family never get involved in politics is because if they were to choose a side, the left or the right, they would automatically alienate a lot of the subjects, and they are painfully aware of this. So when these Meghan supporters or sugars or squaddies, they call themselves squaddies a lot, when they attack, they are literally they're pouring petrol on an already existing fire. And it brings me back to the point, and so it's very important. Anyone with a platform or any creator just keeps it in proportion so it doesn't get lit too much. Because Meghan may or may not pay them. Certain she doesn't pay all of them. She can't be responsible for every single nutter out there. She may be responsible for some nutters, but not all of the nutters. So it's really important. I mean, when she associates herself with people like Christopher Boozy by including him on her Netflix show, of which she had full editorial control, that's her misstep. That is her problem. She has brought that one about herself, but that doesn't necessarily mean she's responsible for every single lunatic out there. So it's important everybody keeps it in proportion, and I think Boozy has done an awful lot of damage to Meghan and her reputation. And I dare say that's one of the many reasons that Hollywood just don't want to know. I'm pretty certain Netflix will probably part company soon, and I would imagine that Ari Emanuel's talent agency will probably part. If they cannot get a result between now and I would say, maybe end of November, it's making Ari Emanuel look very, very bad. So he will, at some stage, cut her loose and just think, if I cannot get her a big part or I cannot get her something, he's going to cut her loose. Definitely. I thought I'd make this a little bit of a longer one tonight. Oh, I'm quite tired actually. We went into Jib today. We were taking the car in and there was a huge queue. So we said, nope, take the car back to the marina, park the car up. Driver's door window wouldn't shut. So I said, forget it, just leave it open. We need to go because we'll be late for the consultant. Decided we'd walk in, got all the way to the border, and Graham went, oh my God, I can't find my passport. So I'm there searching all his pockets. I thought, oh, you're joking. He never loses his passport, never. I said, it's got to be in the car because of the window thing, it threw us. So we walked all the way back to the car, wasn't in the car, came all the way back to the boat, looked everywhere, couldn't find it, and I said, right, give me a coat, let me search you. So he took his coat off and it was in his shirt pocket all the time. Oh my God. And we'd run really because he thought his passport was in the car with the window open and that's stressful. And then we walked all the way back in again and we walked all the way into the hospital, which is quite a romp actually. Then we went to the post office, that's another romp, to get the book, which is lovely. I love it when you guys send parcels, but unfortunately in Gibraltar it's a real hoo-ha to receive parcels, real hoo-ha. We have to go, the post office is quite a long walk in because quite often we don't take the car because of the queue. Then we queue there, you can be queuing there for an hour or two to get the parcel, and then walking back, and some of the parcels are larger and we don't have a car and we don't have a trolley because of the border queue. So it's a big thing. It's sometimes, if it's really busy, it can a whole day dedicated to just going to collect one letter, really. So we did all that and then we finally got home and we both went to sleep for about 2 hours. Oh my God. It was like, oh, just one of those days, like you shouldn't get out of bed, but we couldn't afford not to go in because, and it was a good consultation, it really was, really good. Got a few more meetings with a few more specialists. So that's what we were doing today, and we're going shopping in Aldi as soon as I finish this video and uploaded it. So yeah, I would suggest Meghan and Harry buy a place in the middle of nowhere, somewhere awesome. Take your kids, be with nature, build a log cabin and open some kind of drama camp, because it's just not going to work. I just cannot see it working. I could be wrong. So, and then Meghan supporters will say, oh, you were wrong. So remember this video, Meghan supporters, and let's see in 6 months' time. Maybe she'll be starring in the next film of Gone with the Wind and she'll be the new Scarlett O'Hara. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I have never declared anything a fact, and I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying at this point in time, this is what I think. Anyway, as always, I would love to hear what all you guys think. Your thoughts, opinions, free speech. Don't be dictated to by anybody. Thank you very much for listening.